So for the last day and a half, I think, and rightly so, we've had an honest take across the crypto and blockchain landscape. But it's an opportunity now for us to get kind of personal, but positive, right? So what I would want to do, first of all, is, I think everyone knows Clem now. So Clem, do you mind if we just pass over in terms of an intro?
I'm an egotist. I want to talk about
okay.
myself. No, please.
We'll give you the first question. But this is Clem. If I could ask Fraser, Martin, and David, please, just to give a brief intro to you and your business line or focus area. Fraser.
Yeah, Fraser Brown. I work mostly in developing countries as a consultant, designing innovative financial mechanisms to fix issues like climate change, food security, and conservation. I entered blockchain to tackle social accountability, and I ran a project which is a distributed, decentralized funding platform for activists. So that has been very interesting. It's now based in Zug.
Yeah, I'm Martin Koppelmann, founder of Gnosis. Gnosis is a prediction market platform, one of the early projects on Ethereum. In fact, we were live on Ethereum just 2 weeks after Ethereum started, so 3.5 years ago. Sorry, 2.5 years ago. Started on that already 3 years ago when Ethereum was not even live. I'm also involved with a side project. It's about bringing universal basic income, or using the blockchain to create universal basic income, just as a side note. The other thing is, since the beginning of last year, we are based in Gibraltar. Did one of the first token sales here from Gibraltar in April.
Thank you.
I'm David Guri. Does the mic work? Can you hear me?
I think so.
Okay, no. I'm David Guri, and I train bankers about fintech, about financial technology. And there is global demand for this because bankers all of a sudden want to learn a lot about fintech. And the most controversial topic, the topic which they are truly ambivalent about, is the crypto world. So what I can bring you is this ambivalence, the two sides of the coin, why they want to know more about this world, but why they are so much afraid of this world.
Thank you, gents. Right, so because Clem is on the edge of his seat, I'm going to throw the first.
So much of me.
First question your way, Clem. So, you can't take the trader out of you. I mean, that's pretty obvious. And so if we take a look at the plethora of, certainly for the novice, the options out there in terms of what to trade and when to trade it. In your view, what has been, with a positive lens, what have been the biggest lessons learned for the retail investor when engaging with a token or a coin out of 2017?
Well, the retail investor doesn't tend to learn their lessons, okay, because it's they don't really want to know how to do it properly. They just enjoy the ride. So they're paying, in a sense, for their pleasure. Now, in a bull market, they make a lot of money, and when it turns, they lose it all. So they're on a random rise. I do think the average person who isn't a trader, who's been interested in ICOs for one reason or another, they've learned that most of them are very weak, and therefore they're being very much more selective if playing at all.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Fraser and I had a small exchange this morning, and it kind of varied, didn't it, from Stella through to, wildlife conservation and all kinds of activist-related topics. But Fraser, in all seriousness, if we look at the kind of real social positives out of the potential for blockchain, what keeps you not awake at night, but inspired to actually look at models that are really going to fundamentally change social constructs, economic constructs, and our natural environment as a whole?
It's a big...
It is a bit of a big question, yeah.
So to start, I mean, the question of what is money. You said that that the name of this session might have a sort of positive take, but
I can positively take that. Thank you. It's very kind of you. This is mine now. This is a Ruderhumfterer.
it's a Ukrainian maybe.
Ah, it's a Herbruno or whatever.
But what I just did was anonymous, right? Nobody knows. Now, the world we're going to is you take your credit card and everywhere you go, everything you do, you tap. Somebody, somewhere, a big organization knows where you are, what you're doing, everything about your life. I mean, positive story, the future, people do worry that, we tend to live in a sort of bubble, don't we? My brother spent 25 years in Kazakhstan, and he looks at people, UK, Australia, America, as just not understanding what freedom is. But most people in the world live in an environment where they have this real tangible sense of not being free. And in a world where something controls all your transactions in a centralized way, if you oppose that government or if you oppose a powerful individual with a flip of a switch,
They kill you.
you can be excluded, right? So enter Bitcoin and enter this new world of kind of decentralized freedom of money. And then you enter this world in the land of media where there's so much FUD and fakeness about it. I mean, I can take my app and pay you some Bitcoin. It doesn't really cost hardly anything. It's probably cheaper than an e-money transaction in Kenya, And it's a new world. But to speak to your point, that for me comes with fears as well, because money, what has it done for our planet? Where are we heading? Centralized authorities do try to control things like conservation and so on. If money is just freely sent to everybody, everywhere, who actually who helps the poor, who looks after conservation, and who makes sure that we have a habitable planet? So some of the things I'm involved in are combining crypto with responsible kind of climate-focused lending practices, and it's a very, very complex and fascinating journey.
I bet. Thank you, Fraser. So Martin, could I bring you in simply just to build on these two kind of very different, but actually the kind of natural tension for what this world is doing to the individual must feed into so much of what you face on a daily basis, and really the philosophy behind what you're trying to do with prediction markets. Can I have your commentary on either the two topics or what you think,
Right.
The kind of good cause will be in the end?
Yeah, I would not talk yet about prediction markets, or just one level below. So talk about actually value creation, and I think what you mentioned was a positive sum game, and so to me the exciting part of what we have seen is actually really completely new business models. So on previous panels, one question was, what was the business model? Well, I also really, I see that we can take the existing world and bring them onto tokens and so on, but I really am excited about the new world, and I would say, or a new option, I would say. So for example, Ethereum is, in my view, so far the most successful token sale of all. I mean, they made a token sale 3.5 years ago, raised 10 million, and created something awesome, something that plays a big contribution why we are all today here. And well, what was the business model of Ethereum? Well, not really. I mean, there's the foundation now. The foundation has a lot of tokens still, but effectively, it really created value. It created the platform. And it was not this kind of, you build something to extract value, you build something to create value. And now Ethereum exists. It's in a way a open public infrastructure. So I would say first the focus should be to create platforms, to create infrastructure, to create values, and here kind of the revolutionary new thing is that value is not entirely captured by one entity. So I mean, of course, we have seen the .com or area, a lot of value being created, the Googles, the Facebooks, and so on. But in the end, it was captured by one company. And now we can create this value. We can create those global platforms, those global, very efficient things. But they are not held by one company. They are open to innovation, and that then brings maybe or closes the loop, and that might hopefully enable individuals to participate from that value creation directly by being invested, but also by then being able to use those things to build on top. Yeah.
Excellent. So before I get to you, David, could I just come back perhaps to you, Clem? So, you know, of course, I mean, we can debate the good, the bad, and the ugly of, I guess, the year of the ICO, which I think we've kind of done, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, fundamentally, we're looking at funding paradigms changing forever. And earlier on today, we had the debate with Ishmael, where, you know, we had this kind of cause for concern that forget about the terminology, but moving from pre-sale through to an airdrop just fundamentally goes against the principles of what, you know, token crowd-based access to wealth creation really means. What do you think what has been the favorite approach, if you have one? No, don't necessarily have to mention the name of a company who's gone through a token sale, but what have you seen as best practice and a mainstay model that you think is really engendering that funding paradigm moving forward or cementing it?
It's just going to be self-serving, but I think I have to say the one that I think recently that's got something going for it, because most of these I look at it and I go, these are all anti-gravity machines, yeah, and we're going to make one, and these are the sort of partners we're going to be talking to. We haven't actually talked to them yet, but here's their logos. I can't, having to go through the prospectus thing for equities several times, I look at all these things and they're laughable. Okay, they're not verified, nothing. And so, you know, you take them as you see them. Is what they do next. That's, I think, important. And are they proper people? And there aren't many proper people out there. So I do think that what the Gibraltar Stock Exchange has done with their ICO is significant, because it's a stock exchange, you know, and they've gone and they've raised a serious grown-up money to do something which speaks to a broad need that is totally deliverable.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if there were more of them, I would be all over ICOs. The only ICO I've ever put money into was for a joke, because I knew I was going to lose all my money, and I thought it would be funny to go through that process, because a lot of other people would be. So I wanted to be part of that, you know, so I could go, whoa, did that really happen? Whoa, look at the price, whatever. I have to go through the same process my users go through, otherwise I won't understand them.
Sure.
Okay? But outside of that, I haven't touched any ICO at the stage before it started to be listed. Now, once it's been listed, you're into a trade zone. But companies raising money that I've gone, yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's going to happen. And because even if you're proper people doing a proper thing that can be delivered, that's still a mountain to climb before you get into, you know, saving the elephants and all that other stuff. You know, that is really, really difficult stuff to do. You know, that's stuff that costs hundreds of millions to even scratch the surface of. So, you know, I think I'm old, bitter and twisted person when it comes to investment. And I thought the Gibraltar Exchange one was the sort of ICO I would like to see a lot more of.
Excellent. All right, David, you're on the edge of your seat now. So the reason I've kind of gone through this flow is funding drives everything. And of course, in that funding process, I count us and I count our friends, families have kind of got lost in the haze and the excitement of their own interpretation of the crypto opportunity. But there is the traditional industry, there is the traditional incumbent, and you know, let's face it, that is a opportunity and not so much of a threat, one would argue. I'm very interested to hear your position on what kind of job do we have to do with traditional industry, financial services as a whole, in terms of bringing them over the line so that we all benefit. And how can you help us, David, in that pursuit?
It's a very good question and very hard to answer. Where the traditional financial services world stands as of now is blockchain. They understand that it originates from cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin, but they feel much more comfortable about it than they feel about cryptocurrencies. And the traditional financial services industry, especially in the Western world, is incredibly inefficient. The reason why they are showing acceptable cost-to-income ratios is economy of scale. Some of these banks are super large, and if you are super large, then you can enjoy economy of scale. However, if we go 1, 2, 3, 10 levels deeper, we see organizations which are incredibly inefficient. Legacy IT systems, software spaghetti, redundant departments. One of the major Western banks has more than 1,500 different software products running and not being coordinated with each other because these are serving totally different purposes, but you cannot bring the information over and you cannot really use them as one system. So blockchain, they understand, can potentially help them to cut costs, to make processes faster, to make processes safer, to be better able to fulfill regulatory requirements, to better document things. And what bankers understand as of now is the magic of the blockchain in the sense of decentralizing and centralizing things at the same time. And the two use cases of blockchain within financial services, which I am personally, as an expert, the most enthusiastic about, is identity on blockchain, which can help a lot with AML and KYC. Mm-hmm. Identity on blockchain, I believe, has a huge future, and it will happen.
Yeah,
I give more than 99% chance for this to happen, and this will help authorities, and this will help citizens, and this will help corporations, and this will help startups. The second use case, which I find very, very strong, is a new global interbank clearing system, a new global interbank money transfer system, a new SWIFT. I have read many articles retrospectively about the time when SWIFT was born, how SWIFT became relevant instead of the previous system called Telex, how SWIFT took Telex de facto over. And when I read those articles, I have strong deja vu feeling. I read exactly the same articles now about blockchain taking SWIFT over. Exactly the same arguments.
Okay, David. Sorry, I've just not. I mean, I'm with you in the excitement scale. We've got 4 minutes, so okay, I've just got to get round here. I had so many questions for the team. So I'm going to kind of throw a spin on this because you really haven't had enough airtime. So look, we all take inspiration from someone, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it out to you to say, as a personality or a figure or a cause, all right, what would be your favorite pick of the bunch in the blockchain and the crypto world? So it could be a personality, Andreas, Vitalik, Don, pick your theme. Who has inspired you and you think will continue to inspire this industry moving forward into this year?
I've got the cheapest shot of all. Obviously, Satoshi, because there's a genius and nobody knows who he is.
Nobody knows,
and apparently
exactly.
he's got $7 billion of coin in his back pocket.
Brilliant.
So couldn't be better, could it?
Brilliant. Fraser?
Yeah, this might get harder as you go along.
Yeah.
I think we're losing it a bit with the whole ICO thing being about, raising money. Investment is a word thrown around with ICO now. 6 months ago, you would never have used the word investment. It's a donation. I mean, you don't want one person giving you $1 million. You want 1 million person giving you one.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing thing. And I watched a brilliant panel where a financial services person outlined what an ICO should look like with its board and respectable team. And somebody butted in and said, I'll tell you what an ICO looks like. It looks like Vitalik Buterin, good idea, 10 million, thanks. So that's my guy.
Great.
He started it, and that's great.
I guess I would have a similar answer. So I would say I'm still way more interested in new forms of this open platforms, collaborative platforms, and less kind of a traditional company. Just there's valid cases for traditional companies using technology to do the same thing a little bit more efficient. But I'm way more interested in kind of this exponential growth and really enabling stuff that wasn't possible before.
So no one in particular, Martin?
No. I would say open platforms, universal basic income, those are the big ideas, abundancy, whatever, but...
Yourself.
I'm kind of getting to that, yeah.
Enabling people, but...
Brilliant. And David, and you can't pick a banker.
So the topic, the cause, is identity on blockchain. The person is Christian Larsen. He's a Danish gentleman, and he runs an initiative called New Bank. And this new bank is identity on blockchain, putting your identity on the blockchain. I did it. I put my documents there, and it's an amazing system. What it needs is network effect, more players starting to use it, maybe some governments starting to back it. So we will see.
Excellent. Very good. I'm bang on, I think, Pete.
Absolutely. Oh, this is not working yet. No, that's absolutely. So that's fantastic, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Hope everybody enjoyed that. And it's a round of applause for the panel. Thank you very much.
Thanks.